Hi everyone. This quick video is going to just walk you through what you need to do for the week 4 activity. So the first part is called Let It Flow because you are going to be completing the flow chart. Last semester, I created flowcharts during our review sessions and I got a lot of really positive feedback. And so it's not going to be identical to what was on the content videos, but it is going to help you make sure you're understanding the part of host microbe interactions that focuses on modes of transmission, because this is where a lot of people get really confused. So what you're essentially going to do is look at your PowerPoint and the notes you've taken on the modes of transmission. And there are 3 big types of modes of transmission. And so you are going to fill in this PowerPoint. So your 3 types or big categories of transmission are going to go up here. And then, it's going to go down to either give, other examples, definitions, etc. It kind of depends on which part of this that we're looking at. So if we look at vector transmission, you know that there are 2 different types of vector transmission. And so I have the definition here in parentheses, but you need to fill in, well, what is the name of that type of vector transmission? And the mosquito is an example of it, okay? So you need to write in the 2 types of vector transmission, one in each of these boxes where it belongs. So then when you're going through your notes, there's another category of transmission, and it has 2 different subcategories. One is vehicle, one is something else. So you'll fill in that something else. A Kleenex is an example of this type, okay? So what I've tried to do is a lot of times I'm giving an example as the very last part of each pathway, okay? So kind of looking back over here at the vector transmission, I said there are 2 types of vector transmission. A fly is an example of this type of vector transmission. The mosquito is an example of this type of transmission. So if you follow that logic, if you were to trace down this middle section, and I'm going to go all the way over here to the right to vertical, there's 2 types of vertical transmission. One is prenatal. What does that, what is that? And then here, Zika is an example, okay? And then the other type of vertical transmission is going to be when something, as baby comes out of the birth canal, and then what's the example? Okay, so then again, down here, soil is one type of vehicle transmission. What are some other types or examples? Okay, so the end of a pathway should be the example. Okay, so these other boxes will normally be the names. Okay, so again, within vector transmission, what's one type of vector transmission and what's the other? Okay, so you want to make sure that you're using your context clues. Okay, so if you're like, Chelsea, I have no idea what goes right here. Okay, no problem. Go and find where vertical transmission is mentioned in your notes. Okay, what category does that fall under? Okay, and then when you're looking at this category, once that's filled in, what are the other 2 types along with vertical that fit into this category? Okay, so flowcharts can be insanely helpful as study tools. I know a lot of my students previously, this is what resonated with them. The hard part is trying to fill out somebody else's flowchart, right? But on the flip side, making your own, it's a certain way of thinking in order to create your own flowchart. And so I want you to do this to help you figure out how to take a bunch of information and put it in one succinct flowchart. Okay? Now, as you're working on this, if you get stuck, ask me. Okay? I know this is going to be new for a lot of people, but it's a very important skill to learn. So please reach out if you have any questions. This last part, you are just going to go through and put some of these terms in your own words. Okay, so there is an example. So you're going to look at the term and say, okay, what process is that term associated with? And then how would I describe what that science term means to somebody that has no science background? okay? So if the science term is residual body, well, that's part of phagocytosis. But now notice in my definition, there's not a whole lot of science-y things here, and not a lot of unique science terms. Most people have heard of a vacuole. Most people have heard of a bacteria, okay? So you just want a very common definition where you don't need any micro experience to know what somebody is talking about, okay? Of course, let me know if you have any questions.